Welcome back, everyone, to the Quake World Championships European round of 16s in the third qualifier. We just had an unbelievable series between Kilson and Chronic that we still need to just get out of our system a little bit. Yeah. But we've got an interesting matchup coming next with some players called Syndrom and Smoke. Now, these might not be household names, but there's some interesting stories to both of them, actually.
Yeah, I don't want to say an upcoming player because he has been around for a while, but a relatively new name to the duel scene versus a much older legacy, really, in Smoke.
No, indeed. Let's go into those in a bit more detail in just a moment, but it looks like we're getting straight into the draft. Smoke going for the Visor, the Ranger. We've got a Nyx, an Anarchy, and a Ranger for Syndrome, and a Sorlag as well.
I don't want to say it's a deliberate pick by Smoke, but in my personal experience, I find Sorlag is quite an effective counter to Anarchy. I totally agree.
As an Anarchy player, I can tell you I really hate playing against Sorlag, so I do not think you're wrong on any level there.
But they were some busted out picks. They both knew what they wanted to do, and they just went straight in for it.
Exactly, no hesitation whatsoever. Now, to go with the players a bit, Syndrome, he plays with the Alliance, where two of his teammates who are in the team are in this qualifier as well, and that is also Bus Driver X and I believe Strengths that is playing at the other side. His opponent Smoke beat the fourth teammate in the team, Sparty, earlier in the round.
A bit of revenge going from Syndrome here.
So yeah, might want to avenge his comrade's death and take him out. But Smoke, an interesting, you said has a good, an interesting history in Quake.
I mean, he hasn't been around for quite a while in the duel scene, but he was, at the very start of Quake Live, he was one of the more prominent duelers anyway.
I think we'll go into more detail about him in a little bit, but we are going to be starting on Smoke, who has got a Sorlag to begin with, going up versus the Anarchy. I think immediately, because Sorlag was the last champion he picked.
And so was Anarchy, though.
And I think that's just a good read by Smoke to think that, actually, I know this guy likes Anarchy, and I know that this counter could be quite effective at the beginning, and he's only just realized that he's gone over to the side. The Acid Spit is not up, as he used it very early on.
I think if you're picking Anarchy last, I mean, you only really pick Anarchy if you're super comfortable on the champion. So Smoke must have known Anarchy was coming out. And he tried to reserve it.
And again, a nice little move there by Syndrome. Knows that Sorlag quite a big hitbox, fairly easy target, and gets that damage he needs while moving around quickly. Syndrome also picking up the frag on Smoke's Ranger very fast.
Sevens coming out like crazy there.
He's got to be careful. We've got the machine gun. I have got the injection used to refill his health and increase that cap. And he's just going to move away and get some of the smaller items on the map before we get to that next rotation.
Smoke
of the large
really
items.
Needs to settle down. He's a little bit unfortunate, but he's also just running into this Anarchy, so he just needs to back off a bit and try and play a bit more positional than he's currently doing.
Defensive rockets aren't too bad from Smoke at all, actually. But he's taking quite a bit of his own damage as well, which isn't helping at this stage. He did decide to play, as you say, fast and furious at the beginning with the Sorlag, and it just did not bode well for him. And you always wonder, how do I want to approach that first round of the first map? Do I want to go in all guns blazing, flying everywhere, or do I want to play too scared, too passive, or try and just measure that aggression and defensive play just right? And it's so hard to gauge that for the first round.
I mean, unless you're either got a strong CPM background or super just comfortable against...
Ooh. Now that LG just ripped him apart. Good play. Is worth noting that Syndrome, when he joined the Alliance, was originally an Anarchy player on Sacrifice. Sorry, a Nyx player. And Strengths said, move out of the way. I'm going to be playing the Nyx now. You go play something else. So Syndrome became an Anarchy player. And it's clear that his practice on that champion looks like it's paying off. So let's see if he's able to kind of retain that strength. He's walking into a bit of acid, so taking some extra damage. And although it's not much damage, it's useful for Smoke because he knows exactly where Anarchy is on the map for that period of time.
And you say it's not much damage, but against such a squishy champion, it really does add up. And this is one of the reasons why he has just backed off now.
Yeah, he has got that injection. Always useful to have that kind of the health reset. Although you're disarmed during the period you're using that ability. Could it offset possibly?
It's slightly an offset for his personal timing, but also slightly an offset so he can, at the next rotation, get or at least pressure both items effectively.
Going in with that LG, not bad damage. Rockets as well, though, from Smoke. are also quite good. And right above him, actually, forcing that injection out from Syndrome. He's going to go down with the Mega, still spawns in a second, and is going to be able to pick it up in time. The armor going to be up soon, but the LG is just relentless from Syndrome.
He's got some really great hit scan, and Smoke's struggling to keep up with that at the minute.
Yeah, as far as what we were saying, a good counter to Anarchy is, being Solak, I'd say that Syndrome's playing that quite effectively. Do you think there's something that Smoke could be doing a bit better against this Anarchy?
Yes, he can't afford to be committing so heavily to items. You need to... You have to just almost let Anarchy take them, and you pressure him when he does. Because the Anarchy it just breaks the traditional conception of duel, and you need to play around that.
There's some massive rockets there by Syndrome, pushing it for the frag. That was so clean as well. That was just surgical precision from Syndrome. And see, he's going to push in. He's just going to try and get this next champion out. Got to be careful of that die orb. That's actually enough damage that he wants to back off a little bit. The LG and Smoke is finally getting himself on the board a little bit with the frags. And that's going to be a relief. That's going to be a sort of a bit of a block in the mind, just being erased slightly.
And there's nothing up for the next 10 seconds, so it really is a bit of a stalemate. Oh dear.
Ooh. And that damage, Syndrome just comes charging in and is like, hello, I'm going to take you out quite comfortably. And that's round 2 for Syndrome. This could end up being quite a fast and clean map for him.
Smoke's just struggling to adapt to the speed, so we need to see him do slightly what Kilson did in the later maps, which is just play keep away. You don't need the items.
And Syndrome getting those 2 big weapons very early on, which is going to help. And let's see if that Solak's going to adapt a bit to these plays. Got the machine gun, you're kind of stuck on the corner a little bit. Is going to be moving out, but that LG damage is enormous. You might be able to get the frag as well. Sure, we've got a little bit of the acid, but that's not going to bother Syndrome. He's picked up a very important kill.
Yeah, and again, Smoke getting caught out slightly, and Syndrome punishing heavily. That is the main feature of this duel so far.
I'm quite impressed with Syndrome. I do recognize him as a very sort of capable player in the community, and he might be getting himself another frag in a moment, looking for the rockets at the end, but he's run out of LG. Syndrome as a dueler is not something I'm kind of used to seeing, but he's playing a very sort of clean style at the moment.
Yeah, making the right decisions, pushing in when Smoke's out of position, and just keeping back, picking up the items when he doesn't need to. So it's very simple but very effective at this current time.
He's going to be making his team proud, being the first of Alliance qualifying if he manages to win all the necessary maps in this series. Moving in with the LG, is this going to be another frag? Syndrome might have to be a bit careful, forced to use the injection, and then just pushing straight through anyway. That is the aggression you can get. Your defensive rockets need to be on point if you want to prevent that.
You nailed it on the head. Against an Anarchy, you just have to hit those shots. He can come in so quickly, but if you hit the shots, he's pretty much dead, so it all comes down to execution.
And maybe Smoke is just kind of warming up into it. It could be that maybe things will be very different on the next map, and I know that some maps favor some players more than others, so I don't want to make any assumptions of how Smoke's going to perform throughout the entire series, but at the moment, this isn't enough. We need to see more from him, and Syndrome might look to close out this map right now and just push through the choke point. There we go. Clean 3-0 from Syndrome.
Obviously that map didn't favor Smoke. I mean, that doesn't take much analysis. He didn't find a way to stop the train that was Anarchy. It is a difficult map to do it because there aren't huge choke points there. It is, even though it's a very small map, it is also quite open, which allows Anarchy to get in and out, and very hard to trap him. And Smoke just didn't find a way to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, there was 9 frags to 1, something along those lines.
And I think every round lasted about a minute to 2 minutes. So it was just balls to the wall play by Syndrome. Yeah,
and he's going to feel confident in that, although you don't want to feel overconfident still. You still want to be measured, you still want to be focused as well. And Smoke, he's going to have to knuckle down a little bit and figure out what went wrong. We know him as a capable player, having beaten the Sparty and RZD in this tournament already. If you guys don't know RZD, he's top 2, top 3 Italian duelers in the scene at the moment. Sturmy, of course, number 1, and I think really RZD between Hal. That's not a fight I'd like to host.
2 very strong aimers.
Yeah, they're just strong players all around. So obviously Smoke's done some really good things to get to this point and eliminating the Alliance player.
It was a conflict of styles, I think. Smoke beat Sparty, but Sparty, I imagine, would play in, again, a very classical dual sense. And Syndrome, coming from a different background, just warps that. And Smoke really needs to sit down and think. He knows what he knows what's coming at him now.
Yeah.
So he has to really adapt with his picks.
Let's see, we've got Blood Run that's going to be picked by Smoke. We've got the Ranger, the Visor. Very keen on. We get exactly the same thing from Syndrome, so no changes there, and we get the Nyx at the end. So no Sorlag pick or anything like that.
Clever. I mean, I believe he did pick the Sorlag, as you said originally, as a counter. It didn't work. He's taking a completely different route.
That's fine. If you recognise that as like, don't try and force it. If you think, oh, this could work, let's try that. I got a map to really try this out, and then you lose horribly like Smoke just did then and go, no, it's definitely going to work the next time I try it.
So
you might put yourself at a disadvantage.
In my mind, he thought, I'll fight fire with fire on the previous map, and this map he's saying, okay, I need a way to stop this. I need a way to slow the map down. And the Nyx is obviously a really perfect way to do that.
Yeah. And I also find that the Ranger actually on Corrupted Keep is slightly no, just not something that can deliver as effectively as a map on Blood Run and on the others.
Very creative to use it well. It's super strong, and I've played against very strong players with that hero, with that champion. Sorry, but it is. Yes, as you say, it's much easier to use effectively on the Blood Runs and Blood Covenants of this world.
Absolutely. Now, I guess the question is Smoke going to provide any challenge for Syndrome, or is this going to be exactly the same as what we saw a moment ago? We've got Smoke coming out, and he's going to dire orb away, trying to keep as much of that armor preserved as possible. That's a much better start for Smoke.
He's not dead. Yeah,
this is good. Do you think we should be congratulating for him? I think this is bad news if it's if we have to start on this.
Yeah, I mean, let's take it one step at a time, you know? Keep alive, and then we can plan the next step.
Oh, that was the defensive rocket that Smoke needed. That was perfect.
Exactly it. You need to force Anarchy to come to you.
And look at that, all of a sudden, he's just forced 2 major items for himself. There's a couple of hourglasses here that he can take if he wants to reduce that cooldown on the dire orb. Got all the weapons necessary. And maybe Syndrome's going to think now, okay, I can't just charge into him and be okay with that.
The next step now is forcing out the Ghost Walk. So personally, I think he should be pressuring and forcing out that Ghost Walk.
Smart from Syndrome not to go to those 225s, which are typically seen as so important. There's the Ghost Walk on.
And now's the opportunity to push in extremely hard.
He's going to find him. This is it. This is surely going to be a kill for him. We've got the Gauntlet out as well. Syndrome's going to go down. Comfortable frag there for Smoke in the end, and he's got a Ranger to play against. A slight mirror match right now. Uh-oh. Oh, the perfect weapon switch as well. Dire Orb coming out. There's not enough weapons at all for Syndrome. He has using the nail gun, I think he was there. But that is a clear round for Smoke. And all of a sudden, it's back to front from what we were seeing on Corrupted Keep. Yeah.
Far more comfortable on the on that map than the previous. He did extremely well. Once the Anarchy was gone, again, we could see the confidence just rise.
Yeah, and I think that was just Syndrome maybe getting a little bit cocky at the same time. And you can't do that.
He's obviously got a strong sacrifice background. I believe his playstyle is orientated around getting in people's faces and bullying them with his obviously very powerful aim.
Which is a worry though, because none of the remaining maps in the pool offer that kind of playstyle in duel, same way that Corrupted Keep does?
Not to the same degree, but with Anarchy you can play that way. I think Blood Run's probably the hardest one to do that with, because there are more choke points. Oh,
he managed to get the dire orb damage onto Syndrome. Perfect. Lands a rail. Syndrome is absolutely crippled from that. He's going to be finding a couple of 25s.
That's the only thing about Anarchy, as I said, you need to pressure him, because every trade he takes really hurts that champion.
Nice little chip damage there from Syndrome, trying to keep that information intact and know exactly where Smoke is. And his item times.
They are split, so I mean, okay, that's complete mistiming by Syndrome.
I think Syndrome maybe just assumed that this is going to be something hard to challenge for. I'm not sure if he had his injection up at that point, and or the gross lack of armor, you're vulnerable to a rail.
This is nice. He's just baiting this item here.
Here we go, quite possibly. Oh, and Syndrome just spots it before he takes that dive down for the item. Oh, I'm just missing out on that shot. It wouldn't have been the frag. Definitely would have been helpful. Gonna find him again, missing out on those rockets. So much damage coming from Syndrome, and he wants to press forward. And he's missing again. Smoke with the rockets. Can't quite land the rail. That would have been a frag. Oh, what a shot, though, by Syndrome, blocking him off. I think Smoke was almost hoping that he would move down the staircase towards the rockets, but it was the opposite way around, and Smoke's attention was drawn elsewhere.
And that just demonstrates the most frustrating thing about playing as Anarchy is that that champion gets away with murder. It can do things nobody else can do.
That's just a way of calculating that aggression properly, which Syndrome has, on the whole, been very, very good at. And let's see, the pressure now is on the visor, and I think Syndrome's looking for a way in.
Yep, 15 seconds before major items. This is the opportunity Syndrome needs to take.
Rocket's not quite landing at his feet, and he's going to go over the LG, cleaning up quite nicely.
Ideal, and now
Forcing
he
the
can
spawn.
back off and get both.
Oh, the spawn frag as well. 1-to-1, very clean, and that is that's just something that if you're going to be dueling on Blood Run, you need to be memorizing that. It's possible to counter if you move back, but recognizing where you are off that spawn and going, okay, let's watch out.
Yeah, I'd
take some presence of mind.
Just delay until you know they've gone.
Delay as much as you can.
I think it's almost definitely in the game, right?
No, you get forced. What?
Okay, well,
the rockets just went to each other. They decided that they wanted to fight there and then. There was no calculation of weighing up the possibilities and
just
why should I or shouldn't I be in this conflict. They decided we're going to die and we don't care if we take ourselves down with them.
Smoke is 100% happier with that trade. He's got Anarchy off the map.
Yeah, true. It's a delightful exchange for him. He's going to be finding Syndrome, though, who has just ghost walked. And that's a great timing as well on the piercing side. Excellent damage as well.
Perfect. That patience in the final rocket. I think a lot of people would have panicked and maybe even died because of it, but he just waited and waited and waited.
Yeah, absolutely spotted by him. We're going to be careful. Syndrome, the aggression.
Yeah.
What? This is not the same duels we were watching earlier. Oh, defensive shot. He is going to still reach his health cap, though, with that mega health. One rail. And he's going to find another
1 minute
smoke.
12.
1 minute 20, did you say?
12.
12. Oh, my God.
Quick fire rounds. This is a boxing match. It's just back and forth. They're both taking blows, and Syndrome comes out top a lot more because of his Anarchy and because of his aim. But when Smoke is able to get the Anarchy off the map, he's won every round so far.
Well, that's what he's going to be working on again, of course. Anarchy going to be coming up right away. Trying to take both items. Oh, this is actually pretty dangerous for Smoke. I almost would have... Sorry, pretty dangerous for Syndrome. I almost, as Smoke, would have gone in there and tried to finish off the fight.
Yeah, it's a massive level of respect. But he also...
Oh, the sneak away.
He also knew that Syndrome needed a rocket launcher, and that's why he set up the trap instead.
We might have a bit of a rockets coming down from above. Good moves, actually, from Syndrome. Always repositioning himself in order to get that required damage.
Yep, he was low, and that's why you've seen him just sit back now up in that top item area, trying to restack up.
So trying to almost play this fairly slowly, just because he realizes that Anarchy could suddenly get in his face. Good rocket landed, and I think, yeah, Syndrome does not want to be part of this fight. Mega's up. Oh, that rail could have closed out the Anarchy, which, as you say, would bode well for him winning this map.
But your point's very true.
That's frag. There it is.
You need to force Anarchy into these choke points and force him to come to you, and Smoke's doing an excellent job at that.
It's like the difference between day and night from Smoke on Corrupted Keep to Smoke on Blood Run. It's been absolutely phenomenal in comparison. And there goes the Ghost Walk. It's going to find him. Tried to land a rail, but it's just going to be shooting nothing but stone. And he might be able to get, yeah, quickly. That's just been ABC for him.
I think we're seeing Smoke's dueling pedigree come out against Syndrome's natural aiming ability, and that Syndrome's not doing anything on the map in terms of pressuring
Ghost
items.
Walk? There's no Ghost Walk. That's another quick frag.
Yeah, he's not pressuring items. He's letting Smoke get his stack up, and when that happens, Smoke's super comfortable.
Wow, and he lands that next rail as well. That was such a quick map going in the way of Smoke on this occasion. I mean, both of the maps we've seen, I think it's been a grand total. It's been basically like a normal Quake Live duel in these two maps.
Just quick, running at each other. But again, as I just mentioned, I think Smoke is a natural jeweler relative to Syndrome, and he was able to control those items, and that forced him into fights Anarchy didn't want to take, and then when that happened, he was just able to snowball.
And the Ranger being able to get the timing right, taking both items in just every rotation, pretty much helped him so much. Is there anything that you think Syndrome could have done better in order to not die so quickly, I guess, is what he did?
I mean, at the end of the day, that's his style. That's what's worked for him up to this point. I definitely feel that it works on the Anarchy well. But when that Anarchy was taken away from him, he still tried to play in quite a similar way, just sit back on the minor items. He needed to have more of a presence on the map, really sniping away at the Megas, sniping away at the heavy armors to make sure that Smoke wasn't just running around fully stacked. Because there's nothing he can do then. He was forcing up the Ghost Walk and just keeping on top of him the whole time. Yeah,
I do feel like Smoke was just perpetually on, well, overstacked, I think, as they say.
I think, obviously, Syndrome was very confident in his aim, and it just wasn't paying off that he didn't have enough items to keep him in the game.
Now, moving into map 3, this will be Syndrome's map pick. He is going to be getting the Nyx and the Ranger, presumably Anarchy at the end. BJ pick instead of the Nyx, actually, for Smoke.
I like it that Smoke is mixing it up. Syndrome's got his set 3 that he likes to play, but Smoke's obviously thinking about it, particularly with his third pick, just thinking, what can I use on this match that's slightly more different, perhaps, so that when Anarchy is getting in his face, that he can just switch on that dual wield and just blitz him in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, to be honest, in that last map, we barely saw any of his Nyx. I think when we did, it was dead immediately.
Exactly.
And it had no impact. Other than that, he kind of just survived really well on his Ranger, with Anarchy just walking into shots half the time. But we'll see. BJ, I can see it as being quite a good pick versus an Anarchy as well, but you have to be able to lock down the Anarchy. Otherwise, Anarchy's just, oh, I'll just leave.
This is again, this is a more open map than Blood Run. So I think in Smoke's mind, he's thinking about, if I do catch him, how do I kill him as quickly as I can? Because it was Sorlag originally, and that didn't work, so now it's just saying, I'm going to switch on my dual wield, and I'm just going to hope I'm going to kill you. Yeah,
even if this is just with the starting machine gun or something along those lines, that can still have some great effect. We are on Smoke to begin this series. He has selected Ranger to start with, and he's been so good actually with the Ranger. I mean, I think we were almost making fun of him at the beginning when he was playing Corrupted Keep, but this has turned out to be a really, really important champion for him. And naturally, Syndrome selecting that Anarchy as his first port of call. Good rail.
Something Smoke hasn't utilized effectively yet is the rocket jump skill of the Ranger. I think that's something that's really underutilized. We saw Kilson do it particularly well before, though.
Oh, there's going to be Anarchy kind of walking into his shot set, and he's going to land the rail right at the end. That is a very challenging rail to land, actually. Anarchy can be so slippery in the air. Armor's up, and I think Nyx, he's walking right next to him. Going to find him in a second, and the damage is great, but Syndrome just gets blown up by the well-placed rocket. And that was it. That's what Smoke had to do in order to survive in that fight, because that LG was very, very strong.
Syndrome basically plays like me. Just crazy and always on the aggression, but it would have worked, to be fair to him, except for pretty much a direct rocket.
Yeah, and that's the health pool there for Nyx. Oh wow, and Smoke just clears him up. That was rapid.
Smoke has now got his rocket game on point, and that's really damaging for an aggressive player like Syndrome, because you're always pushing into an opponent, and if he's hitting directs, or at least full splashes, then you're in lots of trouble.
Syndrome waited for that dire orb to kind of land somewhere else. He really just needed to use that dire, even if he was in mid-air. That's the only way he was going to get out. There was no time for him to wait for the dire to travel to a certain distance.
Yeah, Syndrome, as of yet, isn't using any of the champion's abilities to a massive level of effectiveness.
LG, okay. Well, he's using the weapons.
He uses the
very
weapons
good effect.
very well, to be fair. Very well.
And that LG to rail combo, especially when you're shooting from above, it's a tough angle to hit. He's going to be forced to get that Ghost Walk out. Smoke still running at him with the shotgun, but can't make anything happen. Smoke with a second frag, and again, we might have a round that ends within a minute again. BJ, though, this is what's interesting.
I have just noticed, actually, that it has been the Nyx first pick, not the Anarchy.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Clearly, he's not satisfied with the way the rounds are going when he plays Anarchy first anymore. It was really good at the beginning in the first round where he was crushing things, but not so good anymore. Oh, the rocket getting him around the back. Maybe Smoke thought he had an extra fraction of a second in that moment, but I don't even know if he saw the pistol getting used.
He had no idea. Completely contradicts what I just said. So that was an extremely effective use of Nyx's ability.
Yeah. And glad to see Syndrome doing that, and then we're actually seeing a good fight going on Ruins of Sonath, even though these rounds are ending so quickly.
Yeah, and back to the Anarchy after such a successful round on Nyx.
What do you think of that? What do you think? Why?
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think he's just mixing it up and making sure that Smoke has to keep on guessing, really.
It can maybe affect the way you have a start. The rail, ooh, he hung around quite long there. Even a bit late to check on that rail angle, but safe and sound now. Good defensive rockets. And I want to, because this is the last map, and of course, if you win this map, you go through to the regionals. I'm expecting these players to maybe slow down the game a little bit as these rounds get closer and closer to deciding a victor.
I don't think that's in Syndrome's personality. I think if anything, they're going to get faster and faster.
That was an incredibly important rail shot landed by Smoke.
Yeah, you're completely right. If not, Smoke probably would be dead right now.
He's sweating on the item quite a long time, and okay, take note, Chronic. Syndrome left when he realized that the item wasn't going to spawn when he wanted to, and did not give up a frag.
Yep.
Write this down, Chronic. This will be very important for later.
Yeah, I mean, you can stick around, but he took a safe position where he knew an exit.
God, LG coming out. The rocket comes out. There's no chance they can use the injection. I think he would have died anyway. That looked like it was going to be slamming his chest. We've got a Ghost Walk going straight away. Always back to what you're saying, but I think Syndrome trying to leg it. Rail shot. These guys are hitting well today.
Yeah, he is hitting well, but it's just... Oh.
We're going to get another die roll. We have got the armor taken straight away, but I think Syndrome just leaving because he doesn't have the weapons to fight against Smoke.
It's just needless fights sometimes that he's taking. It's again, confidence in his fighting ability.
Oh. A little bit of rocket damage, but I don't think Syndrome will lose sleep over that. And he's going to go down for the armor as well. Lots of items taken by Smoke. However, that rail does prevent him from getting into that supreme overstack position.
Syndrome's a bit late. Again, timing's not particularly on point.
Good little move by Smoke, actually. I like that. Repositioning up to the top level means he can now challenge for this Mega. He hits 2 rails in a row. The die roll, he just mans up and takes the damage.
He literally manned up.
He was like, I need that angle. One more rail angle, and I've got the kill, and I've got the round. Now, Syndrome back up against the wall. It's on you, buddy, to do something and bring us to that tie-breaking round.
Sticking with the Anarchy.
Okay. Again, the one round he won was with Nyx.
You never know, it could have just been a misclick.
Could have.
But I think it was planned.
But I mean, he always last picks Anarchy, even though I think everyone knows that he's going to pick it.
Yeah, you never know, just in case he wants to switch it up.
What? He just, okay, stand on my head for a little bit. That would be really good, thanks.
Some strange things coming out in this duel.
I think that, the rail angle for just a second would not have been a frag.
Both are low, and so both more than happy just to fall back to their respective items.
I think that initial fight where they were standing on the head, I think it was basically a combination of what Smoke trying to get that perfect shot, and maybe Syndrome not quite realizing, but they might finish things up over here. He goes in for the rocket. The aggression between these players, they're not willing to wait at all. There's almost like just complete lack of respect by both parties.
Yeah, I mean, it was a trap by Smoke, and then Syndrome really had little time to react.
Oh, that's good recognition there from Smoke to realize that Syndrome didn't go directly for the armor. He hugely stacked.
Sorry, the very nice thing about that play was that he pretty much guessed where Syndrome would have spawned, which meant he knew he would have gone for the Mega and not the Heavy, so he actually pressured him off the Mega and took both items.
Pressure up right now on Syndrome. This could be the death of another champion. He has got Ranger, and that's it. His lifeline is gone, and he will be sent to Qualifier 4.
We should be pressuring him right now.
Oh, the Rockets. He's lost his dial up. He hasn't got very good weapons at all. Surely Smoke's going to take this one out. 3 rounds to 1 on the tie-breaking map, when things looked like they were set in stone on Corrupted Keep, and there was not a living chance at all for Smoke to do anything. I mean, he comes out with the goods.
At the end of the day, he adapted extremely well to the play style of Syndrome, and Syndrome really didn't change anything. He, in all fairness, he didn't duel naturally. He just wanted to take fights, and he was obviously very, very good at that, but Smoke played around that, was able to capitalize on taking some of the items and really pushing Syndrome out and into fights he didn't want to take. And we saw him time and time again catching Syndrome off guard. So it was just Smoke's smart play that really won that game.
I think Smoke was a little bit more willing to play a slow game than Syndrome as well. Syndrome, I think he just likes frags. He's almost like he doesn't mind who gets them either. He just wants them to happen and be seen by people. Unfortunately, he will falter and be. I wonder if this is going to be the first of many Alliance players to go down.
To go out today.
Possibly.
We've got Bus Driver and Strength. So, but this is as you see here. The tracking of Syndrome in this first map was.
It's excellent, really.
Yeah, I mean, the 7s just speak for themselves. But it was, in all fairness, a learning experience for Smoke. And this is what we see. He just plays extremely patient.
Brilliant trap from him.
Exactly. And he catches out Syndrome time and time again.
And seriously, the next one's a big guard. This was a very easy map. Oh, it finds the dire orb at the same time. And so difficult for Syndrome to have a chance to escape. He's left solo in those fights. Oh.
But it's those type of plays where Anarchy really abuses, not abuses, but utilizes to the most effectiveness the ability to move around the map and take fights that you're not expecting as a natural jeweler. You have to completely reevaluate the way you think about the game when you're playing against Anarchy.
Well, unfortunately, Smoke doesn't have to think about playing an Anarchy for a while. He can rest decently.
I'm sure he's going to rest and have nightmares all at the same time.
But he can definitely look forward to the regionals happening at the beginning of next month, and it's really cool to see him play. I mean, it's a name that I hadn't seen for a long time, and you sparked that memory having played in the early parts of Quake Live.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
great
back
to see him
in
play.
2000, I think it was 2008, 2009. First iteration when Quake was released. Perfect shot there. Smoke was around and he was one of the more prominent jewelers in the local cups. He was always top placing, and then he kind of just disappeared. I think he even attended or was planning to attend like IEM Dubai, which was the first ever real Quake Live big tournament. So he's been around, and it shows in his play.
And I wonder how he's going to be able to compete versus the others. He managed to take out 2 Alliance players, though, so I think that's there's a special amount of just...
He's notching up.
Exactly. Unfortunately, there should have been all 4 Alliance players in the same bracket, then he could have just taken them out one by one. But we have the others later on. That is Strengths and Bus Driver X, the 2 remaining players, FYI. But guys, we're going to go over to a quick break before we get over to our next match. You're watching the Quake World Championship 3rd qualifier on the EU side. We have got such good talent on this side. I think the North Americans are really going to be bricking it later on when they actually meet at QuakeCon. I've been told, though, to be gentle. Guys, we'll see you in a moment for the next match.